covered everything. No, we haven't. But anyway, let's talk about Caulfield.
We covered something.
Yeah.
Look, my main point is last week, all this was going on.
Yep.
Okay, I decided to phone how I dealt with it. I paid almost no attention to it. All that stuff I said I just read and we discussed and everything else was when I went and got a coffee in the morning. I read a paper while I was there, while I was waiting for the bloke to make my coffee. Once I got my coffee, I just couldn't have cared less. Off I went back to work and had a really good week last week.
I think this is right. That when the Four Corners did the Greyhound story, I think betting actually went up. It just shows you people are talking about the space. Because people who don't like racing anyway, they can't like it less.
Yeah.
So they're not going to stop betting.
So, despite some reports in the media about tab-only figures, parimutuel-only figures, like who cares, like it's almost getting to the point of who cares, right? I'll be astonished if the wagering figures from Saturday at Caulfield aren't very strong.
So, speaking of which, right, did you walk it?
Yes.
Was it a biased track itself that surfaced?
No.
Right, can we explain, because obviously I'm in the Caulfield 101 corner every time.
Yeah. So I actually went out there on Thursday because I sort of wanted to clear prior to the meeting, and I just couldn't find anything. There were 6 good lanes there.
Yep.
You know, obviously they're going to water it subsequently, so that can be, especially when they watered it on Saturday morning and with a lot of wind, that could have been a bit of a factor because the wind would have been blowing it. No, we've been blowing it towards the rail. So yeah, I don't remember. I think the surface, everything that I look at, points to me. So it walked like it was going to be a fair surface.
Yes.
And the wind was going to be a big factor because we had a northerly wind forecast for the start of the day, switching to a southerly wind at some point.
Yeah.
And when that happened, was going to be critical. Now, as it turned out, the north wind was gone by the time we got the race one. And the southerly just
11.
Yeah,
and they said it's already southerly.
There it is. So and that it just makes it for a fit on pacer. It just gives them a little bit of an advantage.
And this is Group 1 season. Yeah, we're talking about good fit on pacers, aren't we?
Yeah,
these are horses with substance.
So anyway, I just did. So now the problem is with Saturday is that basically all 9 winners raced on pace, right?
Yeah.
The one that was marginal was Russian Revolution. It was. To me, on paces in the first 4 positions. Okay, for the first half of the race, it was in the 5th position, and it moved up to 3rd, 4th, right at the point where I sort of drew a line. So you could almost make the case that it was sort of up and off and on pace. I suppose it wasn't on pace.
Can I give you something? Because I gave you a shout out on the podcast with Vince Cardi. That was data porn.
Yeah.
Because that was Mark Zara riding the horse to the speed rather than position.
Yeah.
And that's why, you're a 1A of the Mark Zara fan club, ain't you?
No, he's just he's the best rider in the state.
Yeah.
Put him on the right horse.
Yes.
And he'll get the job done. No matter if it's a leader, a stalker, or a run-on horse.
Yep.
You put him on the right horse and that's got an advantage in the race, and he'll find a way.
That horse was going +4 to the 800. That is a +4 horse.
Yeah.
But the leader was going +6. So if he had ridden and say, "Oh, I've got to be on the leader," he probably would have gassed out.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but that's.
Yeah, no, he just didn't. You could just. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Everything about it looks perfect. So anyway, so if we include Russian Revolution as an on-pace winner, which probably was. So all 9 winners are on pace. Now there are 102 runners. So when I see that, I go, okay, I need to interrogate this a bit further.
Where you going? Yeah, great.
So there was 102 runners on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I say the on-pace positions are the first 4, so there's 9 races, there's 36 on-pace runners at the card. 14 of them ran in the money.
Yep.
Okay, so what's that leave? 22 that weren't able to use those on-pace positions to any sort of advantage. That leaves 66 runners that were in the other positions, either handy to the speed or beyond midfield or whatever. 13 of them filled placings.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if you looked at just the second place getters on Saturday, okay, their positions were mid-wide, back-wide, mid-back through, mid-through, 1 by 1, mid-wide, back-wide, lead, and box C. So if you look at that, you'd say, oh, it's a run-on track. If you wanted to finish second,
that's right.
You know what I mean? So like it's sort of when I see half the place getters on pace and half the place getters, when I say there wasn't a lot in this, there wasn't lanes.
Yeah.
This is not a lane situation. So when you get, say, a fence on fire, on pace, bias track, of the 27 place getters on the day, okay, 20 plus of them will be on pace in those positions.
I think a good example, I know we're going from there to there, but talking about doing country meetings now. But Pakenham, when the rail was out 9 about a month ago, the apart from the first race was distance race, the 200 metre mark of the winners or 300 metre mark of the winners was lane 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. Penthouse Pubs come from nowhere and got beaten at nose. Well, then what if next start? That to me is a biased track because it's lane and leaders. Caulfield wasn't lane. I mean, the winners were spread out, even though they were on pace, as you say.
Yeah. So to me, it's a track where the wind meant there was a minor on pace advantage.
Yeah.
That was an easier position to win the races from, but it wasn't a biased track at all.
So flip it around. What was your mindset? Because the fortnight before was a real brutal headwind, and that's, I think, one of the great challenges as a punter to analyse exactly how much effect that had on horses on pace.
I'm sure who was the fortnight
So
before?
I'll tell you. So it was Galo Chomp was a winner that day. Written by was a winner that day. Late. And then you had Booker.
Yeah, that was I'm clear. Yeah, there was a north wind that day. I don't know if it was that brutal. It was.
So,
it was a day where
going forward out of it. So when you looked at Galo Chomp on Saturday, when you looked at Booker, when you looked at Written By, what was your mindset like for Saturday? Out of that, the horses out of that headwind day.
I thought that day was a really good fitness building day, and it was because there was a breathing issue on that day that I think was a big factor. There was a lot of fatigue on that day.
Yep.
I think the really heavy air was something to do with the air pressure that day was a bit odd. It was different to other readings I looked at.
Yeah.
It just meant that horses were fatiguing due to their breathing. So, and that's why the times were slower than would have been expected.
Okay.
I don't think the times were anything to do with the surface.
Yeah.
It was a bit to do with the north wind and a bit to do with. So it was a day you sort of almost had to get your head out of worrying about the times felt slow.
Yeah.
I nearly got there. I didn't get there well enough. You know what I mean? Because if I had got more out of worrying about that, I would have marked Written By favourite.
Yep.
And as soon as the northerly disappeared on Saturday, the southerly took over. I'd already started backing it. The first bet I had on Written By on Saturday, because I marked it third pick, right?
Yep.
So, and I'd marked it $9. So sometime in the morning, I started backing on Betfair. I took $12.
Was it $12?
It was $11 with the corporates at that point, and there was no. It would have been hard to predict at that point whether it was going to start shorter or longer.
No, absolutely.
Really, you know what I mean? So I would have got 3/4 of my bet on at that price at. I think it might have been 10 o'clock in the morning or something, right? Then at about must have been 2 o'clock, 2:30 or something. Anyway, I went back and checked, and it was just off.
Yeah.
As soon as it went off, I twigged that second. I went, oh, it's the winner of this race.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me all at once that it would have run fast time here to except for the nature of that day.
Yes.
It just all added up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
All these other horses are hollow.
Yeah.
They're all just hollow. Yeah. And here it is.
Yep.
There's no problem with the win. It's got the perfect draw. It's going to come over and race on pace. And you know.
So what surprised you about a market move, and what that you said? Was that an example one where you said, well, now I can really swim with the tide?
Yeah.
That's good clarity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's.
Hartnell in reverse. What was your thoughts on Hartnell race morning compared to? Because I'll get to where I got it wrong.
So I marked Galo Chop $3 and Hartnell $3.30 or something. So 2 to 1, 94.
So did you give any respect to the mares, or didn't? No.
I wanted to back those two horses.
So pre-race, when you see Hartnell at the 450, I actually sent it out on Twitter 10 minutes before. I said, so the market's telling you this synthetic fill is an issue, and that's where I was dirty on myself, because I reckon in punting there's the Donald Rumsfeld, there's the unknown unknowns, and there's the known unknowns and the known knowns. Well, the known known was synthetic filler in, and that meant a query, because it's one thing for Galo Chop to beat on his merits, but don't tell me single day is a better horse than Hartnell.
Yeah, so pre-race, in my analysis, I just ignored the synthetic hook filler to a degree. I mean, you know, his horse has won first up. It can be a minor thing. It can be like you just don't know. And so my plan for that race was at some point during the day to start building a position, hopefully first on Galo Chop and then Hartnell.
Right.
So I wanted to have 5 units on Galo Chop and 4 units on Hartnell. And I wanted to try and I was willing to spread my bets out over time and try and catch them both as close to the top as I could. So halfway through the day, I just went, okay, now's the right time to start building a position on Gallo Chop. It was still 320 across the board. As I've just got myself ready to do it, it's off everywhere. It's like someone read my mind.
To what degree? As in 320 to what?
Best price after it, like within 30 seconds, the best price was 280, I think. Most of it was 250, 250 to 280, right? And then, so I went quickly back to Betfair and mopped up what I could. Got some on at Sportsbet, but they were one of the last to move. Whatever, you know what I mean? So I did my best, and I think I might have averaged 295 or something, or whatever it was. And I went, oh well, I'm just going to have to cop that. And I thought, to me, so that's a bit of a sign that Hartnell's probably going to be easy, I think. So the fact that they're willing to really push Gallo Chop in the middle of the day into shorter than 7 to 4.
So then how was your mindset with Hartnell?
So at that stage, I'm still going to have 4 units on Hartnell. Right? That's what I was thinking at that point. So I didn't worry about it again until after race 8. So we get to race 9, I'm thinking, so Hartnell's pushed out beyond $4. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to start. Right, so I think the first price I took on Betfair was $4.20, I think. Might have been $4, I can't remember. And then by that time I'd got most of where I wanted to be on Gallo Chop away. And so I thought I'll just go with Hartnell, and I just sort of was feeding it on, small bit chunks at a time, and as it drifted, the more it drifted, I went. So I just adjusted. I mean, the adjustment I made was I ended up at 3.5 units Hartnell. I think I averaged full 20, I think it was. So I got out well beyond where I was, and I had an extra unit on Gallo Chop.
And conversely, the other interesting betting race for me on the day was Silence Edition. What did you mark it?
I marked it and Samavare 380 a pair. I didn't bet in the race. I didn't like either. I just.
So what happens when you see it? Does it start making you interested when it starts getting out? Or do you say, well, more than having the Cleveland stay?
Look, to be perfectly honest, I left it off my set and right. But when I did that race on Thursday, I thought Samavare is going to be supported here. I didn't really like a jump outs, but they're not going to be interested in.
Can I give you a little one for punters? Jump outs. Didn't have blinkers on the jump outs. Just if you haven't picked that one up, it's always worth looking at. Like wearing it in the race. Or jump
I just would like to sort of be a bit more vibrant in the jump out. I'm not sort of really saying I didn't really want her to win the jump out. She just didn't look quite 100%. You know what I mean? Like just I just look at little things and look at their behaviour and stuff. Anyway, when I did the race, I thought they're not going to be interested in Silence Edition at 5 to 4 after what she did first up, right? They're not going to be.
No.
That's not going to happen. No. So they're going to have to go to alternatives. So it's most likely going to be Samavare. It could be Flippin. Not really just a halo, but like it'll probably hang around. That's what I was thinking. So I thought I had a very small bet on Samavare at that point in the early market at a good price. Right? So that was the only bet I had. Right? So I was willing just to have that bet and not worry about it. Like it was a tiny bet. But as Silence Edition got out past $4, I had this equivalent bet. I level staked it, right? But
so
it wasn't something.
Come to me, Pops. Come to me.
It wasn't something I was excited about. And but in the run, you're just like, oh, this race is over. Because I'd written in my comment from a set, if Silence Edition was at her best, she's an even money chance. But she's not at the best. Like
Well, I said,
it's unlikely for her to be at best.
Will blinkers switch her on? That was the bet you were taking, wasn't it? In the end, will blinkers switch her on?
Well, but if you had been convinced of that, you would have backed it till your nose.
No, that's right. But how could you be convinced?
That was impossible for me, anyway. So
where'd you have lunch?
All the best. There we go, punters. Hope that was enjoyable. And
we're at the All Nations, so we're going to have a feed.
What time?
It's 14.5. So
14.5. So what we've got coming out? Good week this week, punters. We've got Bendigo. I think it's a Twilight of Bendigo this week.
Twilight Bendigo and Australian Guineas.
Back to Flemington on Saturday.
Can't wait.
Cheers.